Hi friends, Mindy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a long overdue full deck challenge video. This is actually week 19. I'm several weeks behind now. And the prompt for this week was paper weaving. And so I'm starting off with these beautiful papers from By the Well for God that I've had in my stash. These coordinate with the stickers and things that I used for my Word Study Wednesday video for this week 19. If you've seen my other full deck challenge videos, you know that my constant from week to week, my constant prompt is a word, and I get that word from my Word Study Wednesday video. And then I go through and I will write out the verse on the back of this card. And so I'm a few weeks behind on doing these full deck challenge videos, but I wanted to catch them up because I want to have a sort of visual representation of all of those videos. So again, this is week 19. The prompt is paper weaving. And so I have started out by tearing down these papers into approximately 1/2 inch strips. I added a little bit of glue down the left side of this. In hindsight, I wish I had not done that because it did change the order of the weaving just a little bit, but it will be okay in the end. And in full transparency, paper weaving is not my favorite technique to do. It's just one of those kinds, it's a little tedious, it's a little fumbly, and I like the look of it, but I often don't take the time to do it, which I think is probably why I got behind, because I was procrastinating from having to do this prompt. That's just transparent. That's just me. So paper weaving, not my favorite. But that's okay, because that's kind of the point of this challenge, is to kind of push yourself and to do other things. And in the end, I really do like how it turned out. But again, as a technique, it's not my favorite, but so I started out with all of my horizontal papers, and now I'm going to start weaving the vertical ones. And so just, like when you're weaving, every other one is going to be like over, under, over, under. This is the part that gets a little fumbly, at least for me. And so there was a few that I had to kind of redo and whatever. And I was also trying to keep a good balance of like pattern and neutral and color and, design as I was adding these in here, instead of, you could certainly do it just randomly, but I wanted to make sure I had some more neutral things to kind of break up some of the busier patterns and some of the ones that just had like more visual weight to them. And so just kind of going through here and deciding what I think works best to my eye at the moment. You can see struggling with this little one here. I had put it in and then had to pull it back out, which is the good thing about this. Once you kind of get it started, you can weave it in and out pretty easily. This is why I added the glue over on the left side. It just made it a little bit easier. I should have done it on a separate sheet of paper, but it's okay. And so once I get all of those down, I am going to add some glue here. I'm using Bearly Arts glue. I love the little precision tip on there because I can just like scoot it underneath all of these little papers. And I'm trying to make sure that I have them, all pulled nice and tight, straight up against each other. I did leave, I purposefully tore these pages instead of cutting them down. I wanted that sort of rough look to them as well. Just gives a little bit more texture to the weaving itself, in my opinion. Instead of, certainly you could just cut it with a trimmer or whatever, but I like the kind of rough edges on there. So here you can see I'm just kind of pulling everything down, making sure it's nice and tight before I add this little bead of glue here on what's the opposite end of this card. And then once I have all of those secured, then I will come back through and flip this card over, and I'm going to trim off all of the excess pieces. And so you can kind of see here, I did add another bead of glue along this long strip right here, just to make sure that I have everything held down and nothing's going to be kind of running off the edge. And then I will come back through and add, there are just a few little pieces, like the vertical pieces right on the edge that need a little bit of glue. So I'm going to add some more glue running down the edge here. Bearly Arts glue is great for this because, like I said, it's got that little needle nose applicator in there for that really fine tip that you can use. I love that for just different embellishments and different things. And so you can see a couple of those pages are just kind of sticking up because the glue went underneath that bottom layer. So I'm just going to hold that in place just for a second because you have glue all over my fingers. That's okay. And then I pulled out a few pieces here from Tim Holtz just to give a focal image for this. I did not want to cover up a lot of this background because it was the whole point of this card was the paper weaving. I still wanted it to kind of remain a focus, but I decided to add a little field label and a butterfly. And I'm using these QBs. These are from Bearly Arts as well. These are dimensional foam adhesive, and they come in two different sizes. So you have the squares, but then you also have the long strips, and these are great because you can kind of trim them down to really to fit any project. So these are just a little bit wider than my little antenna on my butterfly. So I'm going to trim them down just so I can have some of this foam on these as well. And I really like this set because the foam is actually black. So these are the ones that are called shadow. So the foam part of this is black instead of a traditional white kind of foam dot, which I really like, so that when you're looking at it, it doesn't kind of pop out at your eye. So, and then again, my carryover or my constant item is the word. My carryover item is actually the butterfly. So I had a butterfly in the week prior to this on that card. And so I just pulled the butterfly over to this card, and I'm just layering everything. I wanted to have something that was just a little bit more texture behind that field label piece. And so I have this trim. It's kind of in neutral color, and I'm just going to really add a whole lot of adhesive here on the back, probably way more than you need traditionally, but I need this to kind of also seep down in between the holes of that trim, and that is just going to hold everything in place all together. I did add a couple little paper clips to hold that while I start taking off the little backer release papers from these little squares of this foam tape, which took me just a second here to do because they're very tiny. And then I pull off those paper clips, and now I'm going to stick my butterfly kind of, sideways over here on with that little field label. I wanted to be able to see some of the text behind there, so I was kind of being intentional with how I placed that down. And then I will add my last little part of this, which is my word. This is my carryover for every week, and just wanted it kind of up there at the top. I didn't want it to take a whole lot of the focus away, but that's pretty much it for me. So if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. All my links are, including my website and my Facebook group, are in the description. I'd love to have you join me. And until next time, bye.